I think they're all down in the core conversation heckling Greg Dunlap. Oh, well. It's okay, you don't have to heckle me. So this is the Lessons from Drupal 3 session. Pat. We have to make you stay after class. Okay. My name is Ken Rickard. This is my pertinent information. I have a decently low Drupal.org user number. I'm easy to find because I consolidated all of my online identities to Agent Rickard. And I have a website that I never updated, but that's okay. I've actually been around for a very, very long time. This is my 10th Drupalcon. I think I've presented at 8 of them, maybe 7. By my count, there have been 13, so I've been to 10. I missed the first 3 European. Dries was talking about top contributors. I'm actually number 45 on the list, so I didn't get a shout out this morning. But by one measure of contributions, and it's one inaccurate measure, I am in the top 5% of contributors, which makes me very happy. I did co-author Drupal 7 module development. That's a big list of things that I maintain on Drupal.org, and my certified to rock score is 7. So I have some basis and background for being up here and talking about this stuff. I've actually been in Drupal since the 4.5 days. Again, last background slide. What do you do? People come to me at cocktail parties and they say, what do you do? I say, well, we build websites for institutional nonprofits. I work for Palantir here in Chicago, although I don't live here. We do more than that, but that's a good explanation. And because I pimped it on Twitter this week, we did some work for the Art Institute of Chicago. I'm most famous for foreignaffairs.com, actually, if you've ever seen those nice sites. Okay, let's get into the meat of it. Why are we here talking about Drupal 3? Dries just got us all pumped about Drupal 8. And I do want to say, by the way, he hit some of the points in my lecture, my presentation today, which makes me feel good and worried at the same time. So when you see me repeating what Dries said, I wrote mine 3 weeks ago. He copied me. Now, I do want to say, actually, that I've been to 10 of these, and that was the best keynote he's ever given. Goofy video aside, it was the best keynote he's ever given. So, okay, why are we here? Well, first I'm going to pimp my buddy Matt Butcher's session, which is tomorrow's the 9th, right? Yeah, tomorrow from 1 to 2, Bad Judgment Eldorado Superfly Con. Joke modules and what they tell us about Drupal. Now, Matt used to work at Palantir. John Albin, Dave Reed, Larry Garfield, and I all still do work at Palantir. And one of the things we do when we get together at Drupalcon is we drink too much. Except for Larry, who doesn't drink. After we're done drinking too much, we start writing modules. Luckily for us, John Albin wrote the Bad Judgment module, which is a module that all other joke modules should have a strict dependency on. Right? The greatest issue I saw in the queue recently is someone wrote a Fox News video player, and someone filed an issue against it that it should require the Bad Judgment module. And the author didn't understand the joke. So a couple of months ago, we were here in Chicago actually for a company event, and we're sitting around and we're drinking, and Dave is like, okay, what kind of goofy modules are we gonna write right now? Like Dave is down here right now trying to write the Inception module, which is an overlay inside an overlay inside an overlay inside an overlay until you lose your mind. So I said, you know what, I'm bored with joke modules. I want to give you a real challenge. I want you to go and find the earliest version of Drupal in CVS that you can get, and then write and release the most useful module you can. And Dave, being the stalwart guy that he is, was like, I am on it. Dave, in fact, wins. Dave pulled drop.org out of Drupal CVS, much to Dries' chagrin, because one of the databases was in there as well. And Dave got a cease and desist and Dave was like, what are you talking about? It's in CVS. You better go check your code. So, notice that Dave has a PHP error in the screenshot he sent me. It did take me some time to get PHP 3, or the Drupal 3 running. I chose it because it's the earliest versioned release in Drupal's old CVS system. Okay? So for those of you who don't know, this is the Drupal history bit. Why drop.org? What does drop.org have to do with Drupal 3? Dries was a college student. He talked about this briefly today. He and his friends wanted a message board. For those of you who are totally new, and I will point out, should have mentioned this before. This is not in the coder track. We're in the community track. I'm going to show you some code, but we're not going to talk much about code. We're going to talk a little bit about code patterns and why certain things are the way they are, but we're really talking about motives and goals and philosophies in a lot of cases. So Dries, by nature, he's got a doctorate in Java programming, basically, right? His actual background is in Java garbage collection. And he wrote this as a hobby. As he said this morning, he thought it would take 2 or 3 days and he'd be done with it, right? Little did he know. You can get this, the entire story from him on Drupal.org. So, the first lesson, and since we're nice nerds here in this room, I'm going to start with lesson 0. I have 10 of these, by the way, numbered them 0 through 9. Lesson 0 is scratch your own itch, right? I mean, that is sort of the open source manifesto. The only reason Drupal actually survived is that Dries had a problem that he thought was interesting and he was going to try to solve. Hey, I need to communicate with my buddies and make sure that we don't waste our beer money. You know, make sure that everyone understands what's going on in the Java community or whatever he's interested in, right? So this is the first thing, right? The primary motive behind Drupal is to get things done. I came in the 4.5 world because I was tired of going to see engineers to get things done, right? And so I found Drupal and was like, oh good, I never have to ask that guy for anything ever again. I'll just write it myself, or just implement it because someone else has already done it. So, lesson 0. Big question. Pat just asked me this question. Does D3 still run? And the answer is sort of. I'm running Drupal 3.0.2. I'm running it on MySQL 5.1.44 and PHP 5.3.2, which is actually a MAMP stack for OS 10. And I had to write a couple of patches. In particular, the SQL install statements didn't work. That took a little while to figure out. It was using MySQL 3 native password hashing functions that no longer exist. So if you tried to log in, it would just silently fail, and that confused me for like an hour and a half. Yeah. The class loaders, and we're going to talk about classes and object-oriented in just a little bit. The class loader order didn't work anymore in PHP 5, and I had to hack something to move where one class got loaded. And I had to turn registered globals back on. Okay.